So Ricochet is going to be a failure in AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And here's why. Because a lot of wrestling fans are not focused on the long term when it comes to how a wrestler is booked and presented in a wrestling company. You know, Ricochet was written off television on Raw this past Monday. You know, Braun Breaker completely obliterated him in the parking lot, sending him off, gave him a send-off, a brutal one at that. So that's an indication that Ricochet is done. He's not coming back. He's not renewing a contract. And he's pretty much out of there. Now, I don't know what this means for Samantha Irvin, the goated ring announcer. Hopefully she doesn't leave, you know what I'm saying, because she is an asset to the company because she's such a great ring announcer. She's the best one that they have. So I don't know if she follows her husband to AEW. But when it comes to Ricochet in AEW, it's not going to be anything different from Adam Cole, from Kyle O'Reilly, from Malachi Black. The guys right now that are not really doing much, that are not presented in a good light in AEW, they're just there. There's a lot of talent in AEW that had a lot of promise coming in to AEW, but you just kind of see them now, and where they're at on the card, they're just doing nothing. They're just there, having good matches, and that's it. And the reason could be that Ricochet wants to face Will Ospreay. And Will Ospreay definitely had a hand in convincing Ricochet to come to AEW. And this is why Twitter is a problem, because, a lot of shit can be said on Twitter that's just dumb. And, obviously a lot of wrestlers, they use Twitter. And even some of the wrestlers, they post dumb stuff on Twitter. They say some dumb shit that don't need to be said. So Ricochet is going to go to AEW and wrestle Will Ospreay. Have a series of matches with Will Ospreay and 4 or 5 other dream matches with Jay White, Swerve Strickland, probably Bryan Danielson, a match with Pentagon Jr., with Pac, Adam Cole again, maybe with Adam Cole or Malachi Black. All these great dream matches that fans are clamoring for Ricochet to have, right? But here's the interesting thing about, wrestling fans, the marks, the smart marks, like that want all these great matches for Ricochet to have. The truth of the matter is, a lot of you don't care about Ricochet. Let's just keep it 1,000. A lot of y'all don't give a fuck about Ricochet. You don't really care if he succeeds or fails. You don't care. You just want him to have the best matches possible. Because when it comes to his mic abilities, when it comes to him in promos, he doesn't exactly excel. I think you saw that in the Logan Paul feud, where Ricochet felt inferior to Logan Paul on the mic. Logan Paul, by the way, who is technically still a rookie. At that time, he was green as hell, but he knew how to talk. He's just a natural talker on the mic. While Ricochet, it's a little bit awkward. It's not that he's horrible. It's just he's not someone that connects with people when he's talking. He's one of those performers that the only way he has a chance at connecting with the fans, the audience, is through his in-ring ability. Is the stuff that he does in the ring. That's his only shot. So if he goes to All Elite Wrestling, it's going to be the same scenario. The only difference is Tony Khan will feature him a little bit more. He'll probably be given all these like dream matches, right? He'll get to just do the crazy high risk maneuvers that he didn't get to do it in WWE very often. Well, guess what? He'll get to do those high risk maneuvers, those crazy aerial moves. He'll get to do it in AEW weekly, right? Because of course they had to limit Ricochet because the crazy, maneuvers he was doing in the indie scene, you can't do that on television every single week because it's not going to be special. His 630 senton is only going to be special if he does it on certain occasions and certain matches that he's going to win. For Ricochet to do a 630 senton every single week, it's not special. Why do you think when he got called up to the main roster, Vince more likely told him, hey, you got to stop using that move. Here, you can use the shooting star press instead. Do that move. Or the recoil move where he does, it's like a one knee code breaker or something like that. That's why they had to change that move, his finisher. Because the 630 senton, it's too special of a move to do on weekly television. For Sami Zayn, why do you think he doesn't do the top rope brain buster every week? He does it on occasions. Like what you saw at WrestleMania 40 in his match with Gunther, that's when he pulled out the brain buster off the top rope. Because it's a special move. You don't get to just do it every single match because then it's not going to be special. And when you do a move like that, your opponent cannot kick out of it. It's like, that's like the last ditch move that, okay, you pull it out when all hope is lost in the match and you feel like you're going to lose. There's no way. There's nothing in your arsenal that can possibly beat my opponent. So I'm going to pull out my secret weapon. That's kind of what the match with Sami Zayn and Gunther was about, like toward the very end. He couldn't beat Gunther with a Helluva Kick, so he had to beat him with the top rope brain buster. The same thing should apply to Ricochet doing the 630 senton. You only pull out that move when all your other moves are not getting the job done. You hit a guy with a shooting star press or the one knee code breaker, it doesn't get the job done. It doesn't beat your opponent. Okay, so now you pull out the 630 senton when the time calls for it. Well, guess what? When it comes to AEW on Dynamite or Collision, he's going to be doing that move every single match. And fans are going to get sick and tired of it because, okay, the first time they seen it, it blew their mind. Second time, cool. Third time, seen him doing it before. He does it every single week. Fans don't care. Now you completely diminish the value of that move. Now that finishing move has no more value. And especially if you pull that move on Will Ospreay. Imagine if Ricochet, right? He hits a 630 senton on Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay kicks out of it. Does that move have any more value anymore? Once he hits that move and Will Ospreay kicks out, is that move going to have any more meaning, any more value to it? No. It means nothing anymore. Because Will Ospreay kicked out of it. Okay, Will Ospreay and Ricochet are going to have 5-star, 6-star matches on Dynamite or pay-per-view. After that happens, what's next? It's the same situation with Swerve and Will Ospreay. You do the match at Forbidden Door. What's next? What is the next step? What's the plan? There is no plan. There is no plan. Ricochet is going to go to AEW and he's not going to have a plan. The plan is to like exhaust all of these dream matches that no one really cares about anymore. Okay? Dream matches are just not important. Because, at the end of the day, it's like these type of wrestling fans, they don't care about the long-term picture. They just want the sprint, right? They don't care about the marathon. They don't care about a slow cooked roast chicken, roast beef. Nah, they just want to microwave pizza rolls and call it a day. Nothing can slow cook anymore. There's no anticipation, there's no build up. I'm not saying that Ricochet's going to go to AEW and he's going to be completely buried. No, and I'm not even saying that he should not go to AEW. I think he should. If he wants to, he should. It's his life. He's a grown-ass man. He's going to do what he want to do. If I was looking at his run under Vince McMahon, how he was booked, I thought Vince had a decent approach to booking Ricochet. I thought his vision for Ricochet was decent. Yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of this and that, but I'm going to take it away from you until the time is right to give you all of it. And I think that's his approach with Ricochet was, I don't want to give you so much too soon because I know you're a great athlete. So I'm going to give you this United States title run, the Intercontinental title. You're going to be like a Kurt Jerker. Like you're going to be the guy that excites the crowd. You're going to be the guy that I need when I need the fans to make noises, right? I need the crowd to cheer. You do something crazy in the ring, like a high risk maneuver, because you do it so good and perfectly, you make everything look good. You're that performer for me. But you'll never be like that permanent main eventer. And Ricochet was never going to be a main eventer. Let's be honest. How many people thought that Ricochet was ever going to be a main eventer coming to Raw or SmackDown? Not many people would have ever thought he was going to be in the main event scene. He had that one match with Brock Lesnar, and that's it. But Ricochet doesn't excite anybody when he's talking. He doesn't get people interested when he's cutting a promo. There's no real character development with Ricochet. That's the same situation with a lot of other wrestlers that fans wanted to see get their big moment. But you talk about the promos, the personality, it's not there. It's pretty simple. Like pro wrestling is pretty simple. You go back to Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, The Rock. Why do you think they're bona fide legends? Do you think they're bona fide legends because of their in-ring work or because of their personality? What do you think the fans relate more when it comes to The Rock, Stone Cold, and Hulk Hogan? Is it their in-ring ability or is it their personality that gets over? It's always going to be a wrestler's personality, their charisma, their character that gets over, that resonates with the crowd. It's a fact. The first thing that you saw, like if you watched wrestling way, way back in the day, like 80s wrestling fans, 90s wrestling fans, if you watch wrestling back in the day, you more likely tuned in and watched not a Bret Hart, a Hulk Hogan promo. Or you tune in watching Ultimate Warrior cutting a promo. That it got people interested. You watched it, you heard it, and you want to see more of this guy. You were lured into watching more of that wrestler, because his personality is what made you interested. It made you want to watch more. It made you more engaged. See, the personalities of wrestling is what brings more wrestling fans in. It makes more people wrestling fans. It's why certain people become a wrestler in the first place. It's because of a Hulk Hogan promo or Ultimate Warrior promo, or or they watch Stone Cold, torment Vince McMahon, spray him with beer and stuff, and the whole antics with Austin and Vince, right, from the Attitude Era. Or you watched Rock cut a promo, the whole people's eyebrow, call himself the people's champion, and just a lot of charisma. It made you engaged in what you were watching, right? The personality is what made you want to watch in the first place. Now, with Ricochet, that's a very high ceiling to ever reach. He'll never be those guys, and nor do I expect him to be those guys, right? But the thing with Ricochet and him going to AEW is you're just going to get the sprint. You're not going to get the marathon. You're going to get the pizza rolls in the microwave. The microwavable meal. You won't get the slow cooked roasted beef or roasted chicken that cooks for hours, right? Until it's tender and juicy. You won't get that with Ricochet and AEW. See, before Ricochet decided to leave, it was evident that he was going to turn heel. He was going to switch his character. He started wearing suits to look more like, to change up his appearance a little bit. They were teasing a heel turn on, Ilya Dragunov, and it looked kind of promising. And Triple H obviously wanted to cook that up. He wanted to give that a teaser. He wasn't going to just flat out turn him heel the next week, but he wanted to tease it for a couple weeks, maybe to a month or two, to build it up. And then he was going to pull the trigger. And who would have known how heel Ricochet would have been? Well, we'll never know under Triple H. We'll never know how heel Ricochet would have turned out under Triple H. It could have been the best thing that could have ever happened to Ricochet. Hell, that could have been the character change that could have led him to the main event scene. It could have, but we'll never know. I think under Vince McMahon, Ricochet was limited. Not because that he can do more, but because he was limited. And so I think Vince only wanted to play up to Ricochet's strengths in terms of what he can do in the ring. Vince gave him the Intercontinental title, the US title. Were they long title reigns? No. Heck no. Right? He was booked pretty decent. He wasn't going to get the spotlight because Vince knew how he wanted to, book Ricochet, how he wanted to present Ricochet on TV. He didn't really want to use him as as a main eventer because he didn't see him as a main eventer. The same thing with Triple H. Back in NXT, the black and yellow brand, Ricochet was an important, he was very important. He was booked very well in NXT. That was probably the best that Ricochet was ever booked, ever presented on a wrestling show, was NXT, right? But see, in Triple H's era, Ricochet is only going to go so far. Unless if he would have turned heel, you could have saw a lot more out of Ricochet. Who knows? He probably would have changed up his entire style. He probably would have dropped the whole high flying maneuvers and just wrestled a more, safer route. A more safer style where he's just doing the basic shit. And who knows, it would have gotten over or not. But once again, we'll never know because, there's like this underlying peer pressure of wrestlers in AEW wanting the WWE wrestlers to jump ship. I mean, look what happened with Chad Gable. Once certain talent AEW knew of Chad Gable's contract expiring, they were telling Tony Khan, "Hey, you gotta hire Chad Gable. You gotta sign Chad Gable now." And it's like, dude, the guy's contract hasn't even expired yet. He's in the middle of a fantastic program feud with Sami Zayn. Right now, Chad Gable's cooking right now. He's in the middle of some very good TV right now. And he's getting the best run of his career. Like, he's in the best spot in his career right now. This is the best that Chad Gable's ever going to get right now. Why would Chad Gable fuck it up now, have his contract expire, not renew, and jump shit to AEW and do absolutely nothing? That would make no sense. So there is this underlying peer pressure with Ricochet jumping ship. All because of a dream match with Will Ospreay that people are going to forget about after it happens. And I'm telling you right now, once Forbidden Door is over and people are saying, "Oh, that was such a great main event, such a great match with Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. That was a match of the year, 5-star." Okay, what's next? What's the plan for Swerve and his title reign? What's the next big money feud? Who's going to challenge Will Ospreay next for his international title? What about Will Ospreay focusing on building up the international title to bring more credibility to that title? I think a lot of wrestling fans are not focused on the long term. They just dream match, dream match, dream match. That's all I want. Right? And that's how AEW is operating right now. I don't think AEW has much of a plan for majority of that roster. For a select few, they have a plan, but not for everybody. Okay? This is why Ricochet is going to fail in AEW. He's just going to be another guy that signed from the WWE over to All Elite Wrestling. The only difference is he'll be able to do the moves that he wasn't able to do on a regular basis in WWE. Okay? And who knows? He might go to AEW and wear a mask and be Prince Puma. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen. But I'm just giving my hot take, my analysis on the possibility of Ricochet going to AEW. I thought he had a better situation under Triple H. I thought there was something that could have been interesting with Ricochet as a heel, right? Him getting attacked by Braun Breaker, getting obliterated by Braun Breaker, that could have led to him switching his character, coming back more aggressive, coming back with a chip on his shoulder. Okay, that would have been a perfect opportunity to catapult that heel turn when he comes back. So with that being said, this is the Rational Wrestling Mark, another wrestling hot take. Thank y'all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm out. And peace.